All right, my wonderful fourth graders. Today we are actually going to be painting. We are going to be creating a value scale using one color plus black or white, as we've been talking about in class. So by the end of the video, you should have most of this set up at your table. You will need your value scale sheet. This sheet here has a smooth side, which you're going to be using for a paint palette. You'll need a paintbrush, a blue or green paper underneath for your messy mat, some paper towels, and a cup with water. So to start, I will come around and I will put two small amounts of color, a color, on your paint palette. And near the top, I will put a little bit of dry paint there. I will put a little bit of white, and near the bottom, I will put the tiniest little bit of black, because we do not need very much at all. Now, to begin mixing, you need to look at your value scale. You see at the very top we have our lightest value of a color, and I'm going to say blue from now on because my color is blue. Then in the middle we have the original hue, and if you remember, hue is another name for a color. And at the bottom we have our darkest value of blue. So to start, we are going to use some of the straight blue, and we're going to paint it right next to the word original hue. So I'm just going to dip my brush into the blue, and I'm going to paint the middle box, rectangle I guess I should say, to match with the original hue. It's okay if you go out of the lines, you want to try to stay in the lines, but this is for practicing mixing color, so it's really not a big deal. You don't need a ton, you just want to spread it so it covers. Okay, from here we're going to work upward and we're going to create our lightest value. So what we're going to do now is we're going to stick with the same blue blob that I used, and we're going to mix in a little bit of white. So I'm just going to take a little bit of white, maybe just a scoop or so like this, and I'm going to mix it in with the blue. Okay, I didn't use too much, and you want to make sure that it's completely mixed. You don't want to see any white on your brush or any white in the space you're mixing here. So after I take that first blob of blue, now I'm going to paint it above, because I'm working upward to find the lightest shade, and you'll see that it is a little bit lighter than the original hue. Okay, again, not too fancy with the painting, you want to try to stay in the lines. Okay, so from here I'm going to continue and make another lighter value. So, good morning. So now I'm going to add another little bit of blue, I'm sorry, a little bit of white right here. And you can see that the value is getting even lighter. So now I will use this to paint above. And then I will take another little bit of white and I will add it to lighten it even more. Again, making sure that it's mixed evenly so that you can get one continuous color all the way through. There are some kindergartners right over here by the door. If you hear some noise, that's what that is, no big deal. Okay, so now I'm finished creating my lighter values of blue. So I'm going to want to rinse my brush off, because if I'm mixing white and black with a color, I'm creating a tone. So you want to do this gently, don't splash it around. Take a look at your brush every minute or so and just make sure that there's no blue on it, and then you're going to want to wipe it on your paper towel like this. And make sure that as you wipe it, it's dry and clean and has no color left on it. So now we're going to be using the black and the blue, and we're going to be doing the same thing, except you want to start with the lightest color first when you're making a shade. So we're kind of going to work the opposite of the white. Well, I take that back. We are going to be working the same way as the white. So we're going to take a little bit of black And I mean a little bit. You really do not need a lot at all, just a tiny little dab. And you're gonna mix that in. Now, depending on what color you have, it's gonna look pretty dark. Again, you wanna make sure you mix it all in so you don't see any black, but one continuous color. Now for here is gonna go right underneath. So here's our first shade. We've got our first shade that we're gonna paint in here. And now to make it a little bit darker, we're going to add just a little bit more black and mix that in. Make sure you mix it really well. And as you're mixing, you don't want to make your circle really huge, because if you spread the paint out too far, it's going to be hard for you to sort of scoop it up and keep it together and mix it. So try to keep it, every once in a while you might want to twist your brush and get some of that off. Okay, so here's our next shade of blue. And I can always go back and get a little more if I need it. You could really spread this paint on this paper though. This is computer paper, it's pretty thin and you can spread it pretty far. And then we're gonna take one more little scoop of blue and add it to the color that we're mixing here. And we're gonna paint our final box down at the bottom, which is our darkest shade. And then we will have our value scale from darkest value up through our original blue that we started with to our lightest value. Now, of course, you want to rinse your brush off very well and dry it off on your paper towel. And I will give you instructions on how to clean up.